Hello, I'm the enthusiast, and today I'll be explaining my top 20 roller coasters. At number 20 is the Demon at Six Flags Great America. This is an aerodynamics custom looper that has a lot of fun. From the surprisingly forceful loops to the disco tunnel, this is a fun ride. And if you're in the back row, you get a nice pop ejector, and you can't forget the ride soundtrack. Number 19 is Raptor at Cedar Point. It's a B&M inverted coaster. This is my least favorite inverted coaster, but that's not saying it's bad. It's a very forceful ride with that killer ending, which is that insane helix. Number 18, Hades 360 at Mount Olympus. This is a gravity grip Woody that I've only ridden in the front row. I've never gone the back row on this ride, so I can't say how good it is back there. But from what I've ridden, the ride still gives some great ejector airtime. I personally love that underground tunnel. Sadly, once you leave the underground tunnel towards the end of the ride just kind of dies. But up until then, the ride is phenomenal. Number 17, Busch at Cedar Point. This is a ride that I was really not expecting much from, but what I rode was an old Woody with some great ejector airtime. Those hills, especially in the beginning, deliver some great airtime, some that I was personally not expecting at all. And it is really a ride that you should not sleep on at Cedar Point. Number 16 is the Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Over Georgia. This is another Woody with great airtime. The best moments of airtime is easily the finale, which are a bunch of bunny hills back to back to back. And right at the end, right as you're about to hit the brakes, there's a head chopper with the top of the brake run. It is a really insane ending for a really insane Woody. Number 15 is Mr. Freeze at Six Flags St. Louis. This is a fun launch coaster with some crazy elements. From the intense inverted top hat to the weird feeling of the vertical launch, this ride is really fun. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Number 14 is Riddler's Revenge at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is a B&M stand-up coaster that is full of monster inversions. And my personal favorite part of the ride is easily the two monster dive loops that deliver so many positives. Now, I can see why some people might not like stand-up coasters, but myself, I think they're a lot of fun, and I find them really intense as well. Number 13, Mindbender at Six Flags Over Georgia is a Schwarzkopf looper. I think that is a bit overrated, but I still love this ride. The loops are super intense, and the ride still has some surprising moments of airtime. I also love how this ride uses the terrain to its advantage. It is such a good ride. Number 12 is another ride, Six Flags Over Georgia, Goliath. This is a B&M hypercoaster that does not get talked about enough. This is easily one of the best hypercoasters. Now, this ride delivers some crazy floater airtime to my favorite moment of the ride, the downwards helix that delivers. It is super intense, and every time I've rode it, I grade out on the helix. Goliath needs to be talked about. Another Goliath is coming in at number 11. Goliath at Six Flags Great America is an RMC Topper Track hybrid. This is a ride that is very, very underrated. Goliath easily is the best drop on an RMC, let alone it has some of the best hang time out there. And before you say Goliath has no airtime, Goliath has airtime, and the airtime Goliath delivers is some crazy ejector. Coming in at number 10 is Raging Bull at Six Flags Great America. Now, this is a B&M hypercoaster that I think is easily a really underrated hypercoaster. A lot of people look at Raging Bull and think, hey, it doesn't have any airtime. Well, I'm here to tell you Raging Bull is airtime, and it's really good. I mean, you have the phenomenal ejector-filled drop, and that drop off the mid-course brake run also gives great ejector. And the rest of the ride, which has the overbanks are still pretty forceful, and this is a really good ride that really needs to be talked about more. Number 9 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great America. Now, before you think I'm crazy, let me explain. I had a ride on this at night that was ridiculous. It was my last ride of the night, and I got front row, and I swear to you, I rayed out the entire time, basically. I swear, even during that upwards helix, I almost blacked out, I swear. It was super intense, and just because of that one ride, it pushed it so far up in my rankings that I hope it runs like that more. Number 8 is Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. This is a very intense launch coaster. Top Thrill Dragster has a phenomenal launch. I swear, nothing out there compares to Hydraulics launch besides, well, maybe one other launch that I'll talk about later. But Top Thrill Dragster is a really good ride. Luckily, when I was there, I didn't have to deal with the breaking down. I did get a ride on it. The launch is easily the best part of the ride, in my opinion. Super intense, super forceful. And I also love when you get to the top, you can look out and just see the entire park. It might be for a brief second, but it's just being able to look out over everything is really fun. That drop on the way down is also another really fun element. Only thing is, I wish it was a bit longer, but for what it is really amazing. Number 7 is the launch that tops hydraulic launches with max force, the S&S Air Launch Coaster. Now, this is one of the few rides that I swear scares me every single time I ride it. There's something about it that, just gets my nerve, but I love it so much. That launch is phenomenal. Easily one of the best moments on any roller coaster, in my opinion. I love how intense that is. And plus, after that, you also have some whippy inversions and also some inversions that give you quite a bit of hang time. I mean, it's maybe a short ride, but it delivers a lot. Number 6 is Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, this is a ride that I think has been very underrated. I know a lot of people rank it high and say it's a good ride, but I don't think people realize how good of a ride this is, truly. This is easily one of B&M's best creations and easily one of the most intense. You start off with a massive, massive vertical loop, and then you have an intense dive loop and a crazy whippy 0G roll. Then you have that Cobra ride just powers through. Then you have the beautiful corkscrews. And then easily the part of the ride I don't hear anyone talk about is the ride swoops up down into a tunnel. And at the end of the tunnel there's a helix. And that is a super, super intense helix that I think no one really notices because it's towards the end of the ride, but it's a really crazy element. Number 5 is another ride, Busch Gardens, Tampa, Montu. Montu is my favorite roller coaster by B&M, and for good reasons. This is a monster B&M inverted coaster with some massive elements that are also super intense. My personal favorite part of the ride, in my opinion, is definitely that Batwing element. I mean, you power into it, packing the positive G's, but exiting it, it just feels like it's trying to rip your legs off because you just power out of it. I wish the ride did pack in one more corkscrew towards the end of the ride, so then it would be out of the most versions on a inverted coaster, but the ride is amazing and super intense and I love it. Number 4 is a ride that a lot of people overrate or not rate it really at all, is Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. This is easily the best RMC in my opinion. Yes, I think it's better than Steel Vengeance, but I'll talk about Steel Vengeance in another video. But this ride is amazing, and I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. From the first drop to the quarry wall, which is actually still really good up there. You lose speed, yes, but because of the elements up there, you still get quite a bit of airtime. It's some quick short pops, but nothing like sustained, but it's still amazing. The cliff dive is fun, but overrated. In my opinion, the best moment of airtime is if you're in the front row. The hop into the final brakes delivers some of the craziest ejector out there, in my opinion. But overall, this is a very, very good RMC. My number 3 is X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now, this is a ride that I've only ridden once, and that one ride was phenomenal. I loved it so much. This is a super intense ride. I love that drop where it rotates you into your stomach and you drop almost vertical. That's a phenomenal moment. The best moment on X2 is easily that final Raven turn. Packs the positive G's. But overall, this is a very good ride, and I'm kind of sad we don't have any other 40 coasters like it in America. If I want to ride another one, looks like I gotta go to Japan now. But X2 is a phenomenal ride and a super intense one. My number 2 is Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. This is one of 2 RMC Raptors, soon to be 3, that are in the world. And this is a ride that is another insanely intense ride. I wouldn't say it's intense like packing positive G's, but intense by throwing negatives like crazy. Now, my favorite spot to ride this is easily the front row. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, and because of why it's in the front row is because in the front row, the dive loop, you get thrown up and then twisted down, and I preferred that over like the drop because I think it's a much more fun moment than the drop. But other than that, that Outer Bank turn is easily one of the strongest moments of airtime out there as well. Really crazy moment that you should definitely brace yourself for. Really crazy. I love it. This is a ride that also has some of the best pacing out there. Phenomenal ride and easily one you should not sleep on. Coming on my number one is Maverick at Cedar Point. Now, let me explain. This is a ride that I really didn't hear much about when I first rode it, and I really wasn't expecting much. What I got was my favorite roller coaster out there. Because of the restraints, I got a lot of airtime, and the restraints didn't mind me at all. I personally liked them. But that first drop, crazy airtime. I love the positives through the twists. I also love the airtime you get on that airtime hill. I mean, the horseshoe roll didn't do much. I mean, it just was there. But that launch is another really intense moment. You get launched out of there from darkness just to light. And then you swoop down over the water and into my favorite moments, the 2 stangle dives. The first one, I mean, is okay. But the one you really gotta be ready for is that second stangle dive. That second stangle dive is phenomenal. And my favorite moment of airtime out there. Just so crazy. And then you have a quick, like, I wouldn't say floater, I think it's more of ejector hill myself. And then you come up into the brakes. But Maverick is a phenomenal ride, and when you pair it with the soundtrack, it just adds to it. But yeah, that was my top 20 roller coasters explained. If you would like to see me go in more depth and review any of the rides, you can tell me that in the comments. But for now, goodbye.